In this episode of our weekly recap over at Collective Shift, Leon, that's myself, and Nick, our senior research analyst at Collective Shift, we're going to take a step back and review the entire year of 2023. We're going to dive into the lessons, the surprises, the wins, the losses, and what really proved to be another action-packed year of 2023 as we look forward to 2024. So we cover all this right now with myself and Nick from the Collective Shift team in our weekly recap. Actionable insights and a breakdown into the Collective Shift markets just in under 30 minutes for you. We'll start with a market update with Nick, and then we'll go on to some of the important things we actually learned in 2023, and so that you can also take a stock of what you learned and how you want to proceed when it comes to crypto in 2024. So first off, Nick, before we talk, me and you, about our lessons in 2023, I really just want to appreciate the fireside that we're having, the fireside chat that we're having here. And I'm hoping people listening to this at home, you can hear the fire crackles in the back. Hopefully you're spending time at Christmas, even New Year's, with the people you love over in Sydney or anywhere you are around the world. But before we go to our most important lessons, Nick, let's give us a market update. What's happened in the last week of crypto?
Yeah, thanks, Leon. Keen to talk more about the year that was, because it was a very hectic year in crypto markets. Just to end the year, Bitcoin and Ethereum kind of just plateaued to end the year, which is not too surprising. Traditionally, the holiday period has been a sort of muted time. So they've just, Bitcoin's edged 1% lower and Ethereum has stayed stagnant. So they're both at 42,000 and 2,200 respectively. Solana again was the biggest mover of the week in the large caps, moving above $100 to 110, an increase of almost 50% on the week. So a lot more in Solana land to talk about. I think it was off the back of some major stablecoin announcements that the market seemed to like.
Yeah, that's right. And I've got a lot to talk about Solana as well. It's one of the most important things I've learned this year. But I think moving on from the market, let's put that aside, because today we're going to be having a heart-to-heart, just talking about the things that we're really looking forward to, our lessons. But again, probably the biggest news that we really can't ignore, Nick, is just the ETF news. People just keep talking about this, and ourselves, we're guilty of this. We keep talking about this because it is pretty important, let's be honest, right? So the ETF showdown, there's been some recent news. The SEC has come out and they've given a date. What do listeners really need to know when it comes to this news?
So essentially, the SEC has to make a decision on some of the Bitcoin spot ETFs on Jan 10. So they've come out and just told a bunch of the ETF issuers that there's going to be a final deadline to the end of the year, to get in any amendments and edit their applications. So this is sort of standard from what I'm seeing, and kind of really just marks a line in the sand, and it really has a focus now on the next 2 weeks to start the new year. This is what everyone's looking forward to, about whether we're going to finally get either rejection or an approval of these spot Bitcoin ETFs. So I'm seeing more of these big firms are making more amendments. I saw BlackRock, I think I've met with the SEC 5+ times this month. So they're really getting their ducks in a row, accelerating this process, and hopefully we have some good news to share at the start of the year.
Yeah, that's right, Nick. And I mean, when we look at this news, I think much hasn't changed so far. We're still expecting either an approval or denial on the 8th, 9th, or 10th of January. This specific news item is just about setting the date for final amendments to those applications, which is, I think, at the end of this year here. So either way, we are seeing all of them lined up in a row, just like you're saying. Now, Nick, just very personally here, I know we don't speculate much over at Collective Shift, but I want to chat to you very quickly. What do you think the actual percentages of an approval for a Bitcoin spot ETF are? Just ballpark, what do you think?
So I probably hesitate to make these predictions myself, because I don't really have the history of knowing the ETF space historically. So I look to people who have been in that space for decades. So a few of the Bloomberg analysts put this percentage at 90% at the Jan 10 date. So that's the one I'm leaning on to look at. So very, very high percentage that we finally see this stuff processed and hit the market then sometime in Q1 2024.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible, man. That's a really high percentage rate. And for that to actually fall down as a no, that analyst will probably be getting a little bit of hot water there, won't he? And when it comes to my kind of percentage, Nick, I'm not an expert like yourself in ETF approvals or not, but like you, I have been reading about the experts, and they do put it at 90. But I also have it a little bit lower, only because I'm a pessimist, because I'm feeling that, yes, they're putting all the ducks in a row, getting all of the amendments, the applications, it may all just be a smokescreen. And I always try and think contrarian, because if people are thinking 90% approval, I'm kind of thinking, oh no, it's not going to happen. And then of course, I guess that's just me. The market has done that to me over a prolonged period of time being in crypto. So I always think of the worst and then I prepare for the worst. So yeah, I put it around a 60 or maybe around a 50. It's definitely more than 50, I would say. Definitely more than 0.5% chance. But then again, I'm just stabbing in the dark. We'll rely on the experts who actually know a lot more about this. They're the 90%.
We'll know a lot more next week anyway. So
yeah, exactly. We won't have to wait long. Yeah, that's right. Okay, now that the news is out of the way, Nick, let's get really personal here. We're going to be very honest with you if you're listening to this, okay? We're going to be fully transparent over a collective shift. As you say, we do have even a transparency record on our platform, so you can go and see all the tokens that we hold. So in the next kind of 20 minutes from now, I'm going to set the scene for us, okay? Now, Nick and I have been in crypto for a very long time. When I say very long time, that's crypto time, okay? So that's only about 3 cycles so far. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a review of 2023, because every year it's good to step back and take stock of what actually happened and review your life, your experiences, and how to learn from that, the lessons, the wrongs, and everything combined. So hopefully you guys can get some out of this as well. So Nick, in this process, let's start with a review of 2023. Then we'll go to surprises, what we got right, what we got wrong, and then the lessons, and then we'll end it for today, my friend. So I think reviewing 2023, a lot of stuff has actually happened. Now, there is a criteria for how important something is for us to actually cover it. So I really want to touch on the more important things, or the things that shaped the crypto industry, Nick. So first off, you let me know the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to 2023 and the most important things.
So number one would have to be just Bitcoin proving why it is still the king in the digital asset space, considering that we're now plus 155% on the year, and ETH has underperformed comparatively to Bitcoin and even a lot of other cryptocurrencies this year, moving about 63 or 66 or 86% higher. So yeah, just really proving why Bitcoin is still number one, because all the attention, mindshare, and focus has been on Bitcoin through the year, which was really driven by a range of narratives where we actually, looking back, we forget about a lot of the bank failures that happened in May.
That's right.
It feels like absolutely a decade ago, but in reality, it's only less than 10 months.
Yeah.
So a lot of this actually gets, fades in the background, and people often forget these news. But, back in May, when a lot of this thing was happening, there was a flight to Bitcoin, inflows into Bitcoin. And we also saw things with major, businesses in the space and major institutional players like BlackRock come out with their Bitcoin spot, ETF application, and then even their CEO just pivoting his language to be
positive,
quite pro Bitcoin, talking about Bitcoin in the same breath as flight to quality, and expecting this crypto trend to continue in the coming years. So this is what really drove Bitcoin higher. And if I'm going to think of the number one thing of the year, definitely Bitcoin.
Yeah, definitely. We do remember those bank failures when it happened earlier this year. And now you think about it, no one even remembers that, right? It's not even on the tip of people's tongues. It is still happening around the world a little bit, but not as prominent as the United States at the moment. So it's pretty crazy. And when it comes to it,
number one that you were away from the year is the biggest news headline.
Yeah, my number one would have been BlackRock, actually. I think, as you said, Larry Fink doing that 180. This was kind of the biggest news that people were waiting for, I think. And for me, seeing such a large institution and knowing how much money they manage, and then they're saying, okay, we're going to get into Bitcoin now. And look, all of a sudden we're ending the year and we're looking forward to a spot Bitcoin approval application from BlackRock themselves, right? So that, I think, to me, was the biggest pivoting point at that moment when they said, yes, we're coming in. And holy crap, Nick, from then, this is big boys are coming now. The biggest boy is actually here. That means all the little brothers are going to come into the space, Yeah, so
my favorite part was probably the memes, to be honest.
The memes
of the, is a Jay-Z where he talks about where you've come, and then it pivots back to Larry Fink, and he from calling Bitcoin money laundering, to a flat quality. I think if we're to sum up the year in one meme, that's probably going to be it.
Yeah, that's it. That's crazy, right? Think of the change. It's incredible whenever I think about it. It just surprises me. So that was probably the two biggest from yourself and myself here. But there is still other major news that shifted the industry and changed the landscape a little bit. So I think one of the yeah, that's right, Nick. I think so. I agree. I think it'll have to be the the SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried trial, and as well as the Binance settlement, which comes in a close settlement. But first off, let's talk about SBF and FTX. So FTX didn't happen in 2023; it happened in 2022, I believe. But we saw a lot of the follow through, a lot of the fallout from this criminal trial in 2023. So we covered this a lot, didn't we, Nick?
Yeah, this was a big thing for us because we were just speculating about how the trial would impact crypto, considering that the negative sentiment it probably would have brought, which didn't turn out as strong. Although we did see to end the
some fallout,
still an anti-crypto sentiment from some of the biggest senators, such as Elizabeth Warren, tried to ban together a lot of the banks against crypto. So we just finally saw perhaps a healing of the industry of, hey, there was the biggest fraud that's ever been perpetuated in crypto is finally, brought justice, and that's been resolved. We're going to get this, how long he's actually going to face in jail, I think in March next year. But, it was a big one because after all, it'd be hard to see the industry to move on from a legitimacy point of view without, some of the biggest and worst actors such as SBF, being able to roam free. We also saw a few other, 2022 crypto villains, I like to say.
Yeah, with 3AC.
Who was finally being extradited and caught. We've seen, 3AC, you said, he was a major hedge fund that blew up. And then also things with Celsius, CEO of Celsius is, going to face court next year as well. So a lot of these major points finally, getting some sort of justice to the industry that hopefully, will add fuel to move on in the next year.
Yeah, Nick, I got to be honest with you. With the whole SBF trial, I just thought they would bleed him dry. I thought they would be coming out every week with a new scandal of someone in crypto that SBF had information on. And of course, my thinking was that FBS would just roll on everyone and then the entire industry would have like all these follow-on troubles that they'd have to deal with. But that didn't actually happen, which is surprising to me. I thought that would happen. I thought the space was a lot dirtier than initially led on. So maybe that's actually a good thing for the space, right? That this giant thing happened and then space moved on from it, which is pretty crazy, I would think.
You don't have to wait long too, because we had the Binance as well. So
that's right.
Narrative as well. And that was probably going to finish the roundup as well for this year. Binance definitely would have been that number one point of view because it provides a bit of market clarity. A lot of people were really unsure about if this continues to go on, how bad are the criminal charges going to be? How bad were Binance? Was it just that they, were not obeying US banking laws and, sanctions violations, or were they actually misappropriating customer funds? So we got a bit of a sign that maybe it wasn't as bad, but, I would never like to count anything out heading into next year.
Yeah, no, definitely. And these things take time for it to actually come out. So the government may be working on something, will just take a while until we actually know, right? But Nick, very quickly before we sum up 2023, I would also say, what about the comeback that we saw from Solana, right? And I'm going to talk about Solana a little bit on later, but I think this is one of the biggest news we've had. So kind of a sentimental shift, a massive shift when it comes to Solana. Before, Solana was dead, Solana was this, Solana was that. Oh, scam chain. Oh, it's going to go off any second now. No, it's actually one of the best performing assets this year, next to BTC, next to ETH. And it's done a huge 180 from $80 US, from $8 US all the way to, I think, $150 US right now as we speak, or maybe 140 give or take. Massive change. And I know you covered Solana a lot, didn't you, Nick?
Yeah, we've been pretty active looking at Solana. So that's what we're going to feature maybe coming into this pod as well, because there's a lot to talk about with Solana and the year that Solana's had.
Yeah, awesome. Well, then let's move on, Nick. Let's talk about the next section. Just is what really surprised us the most this year. And when I say surprised, it's like what caught you off guard. Either you knew it was around the corner maybe, but it still ended up surprising you anyway. Because we're in the market 24/7. I'm sure you listening at home, you try and keep an ear on the market, but sometimes things get you, okay? They jump scare you. So Nick, what caught you by surprise?
So I got two here. Maybe we'll start off with my first one, which was the Coinbase Ethereum L2 launch. That was one that I didn't have on my sort of crypto bingo card, if you will, which I was really excited about and actually quite shocked to see the rapid development that they, come from announcement at the start of the year to implementation and now talking about decentralization and taking those next steps, for the chain. So I'm really excited about that announcement because it kind of legitimizes Ethereum, that, you have the biggest exchange or US exchange in the world, that is Binance, and they're choosing to build on Ethereum technology and align themselves with Ethereum. So that was definitely number one for me that I just was not expecting. And even once it got announced, I wasn't expecting how fast and rapid that development would be. So we covered this a bit this year because we just think that it's such a big moment and something that we'll continue to look at into 2024.
I know Coinbase is probably one of the largest crypto institutions we have, and it's no surprise to me that they ended up making their own layer 2 chain. I just didn't know that they were going to choose, like, for example, an optimistic layer 2, and how fast, as you said, it actually got rolled out. And myself, I still have to go and experiment on that chain and see what's new there. I know some people are making a lot of money there, but at the same time, you got to trade off your risk. Okay, you got to be very careful when you end up going to some of these new experimental chains. So thanks for sharing that, Nick. For me, I think coming back to sentiment, I think the thing that surprised me the most, and like I said, I saw this around the corner, is just how quick sentiment can change. Okay, we've seen in crypto how things change easily, but this was very, very quick for Solana. I've never seen such a huge sentiment change in 1 year only. At the start of the year, we weren't doing pretty well in Solana, but now it's the talk of the town. We're ranked number 3, for God's sake. Take away USDT, and we are the third most highest market cap crypto. So it's a massive shift in the understanding, like the fundamentals, and pivoting in a new narrative to create yourself as a monolithic chain instead of a modular chain where everything is on one. And so if I'm on Solana, I can still transact with anyone else who's doing something, right, on Solana. It's all in one place. And that has been really popular for people. When it comes to Ethereum, you have to kind of navigate the space because everything is fragmented. You have coins on a layer 2 on Optimism. You have to bridge them to Arbitrum before you can use them. If you want to withdraw it, some centralized exchanges won't accept Arbitrum USDC, and so you have to transfer it somewhere else. And you see, all of a sudden, you're making so many transactions, so much money cost to just for fees. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense, and that kind of shifted people away from the Ethereum EVM chains into Solana. And that is, coming back to my main point, is the sentiment change, how quick people were going to be changing, like how they viewed Solana. So for me, Nick, that was so surprising.
Yeah, surprising one. And I'm just thankful, I guess, that the rally looks like that it is via real fundamentals, that it's not sort of a sentiment that is just a topic of the month or the topic of the year, like sort of these AI coins were. Which they didn't really have any of those fundamentals back in.
Yeah, they weren't very strong.
Rally, which, the opposite could be said for Solana.
Yeah.
Which actually, brings me to my next surprise, which for me was a combination of, I guess, the Bitcoin narrative, that the sentiment has changed on Bitcoin, because I was not anticipating just the rapid development of Bitcoin inscriptions and adoption and usage.
Yeah.
That, wasn't on our bingo cards. And I was talking to Matt in it when we were doing our 2024 write-ups and 2023 review post for our members. That was one that he also had very high on his list, just because I didn't think anybody really anticipated just how, I guess, high that demand would be. And also, once it hit, we didn't anticipate that it would still come back and show that it has a long-lasting momentum, like we saw it to end the year. So we sort of had these 2-3 rounds of strong inscription demand that sort of will show that, hey, potentially there's a lot there could be unlocked via Bitcoin and using inscriptions. So I want to what we're going to see about this in 2024, because I know that it's actually not all roses and sunshine. Some don't like this inscription. Some people, make the comparison that's more akin to spam, essentially. So I think this narrative is also going to have a lot of time to play out next year.
And when it comes to this, the community is divided, as you say. But I always take the stance that, it is still a free network. So some people can come and do whatever they want on that chain, right? It's up to the chain itself to end up surviving and saying, okay, this is spam. How do we protect ourselves from spam? Or how do we keep it over there where the spam doesn't come to my normal inbox, just to break it down for people, right? Because there's it's Darwinism. You have to adapt to the changing times. You can't just stay the same. You have to improve over time. So Nick, my last one then, just to share very quickly before we move on, is just a little surprise on the comparisons between centralized exchange volumes and decentralized exchange volumes. Now, we knew coming into this year and experiencing the year that decentralized DEX volume was actually going to be improving over the year. But I'm so surprised as to how much it's actually gotten, how much more it's gotten. Even in the last 24 hours, looking at the DeFi Llama CEX volumes, you can see that the CEX volumes, and I say CEX not lightly, CEX, my friends, not SEX. I say that because the volumes are so incredibly tight and close right now. I'm so surprised. These DEXs can handle all of the transactions that are happening just the same as decentralized exchanges. So you can go and see DeFi Llama, the aggregator, right now, and I'm gonna give you a small hint for all of those people out there. If you have anything on Solana and you like to trade, make sure you use the Jupiter aggregator. It is a decentralized exchange, and it's actually it's an aggregator, which means it finds the best prices for you with all the different exchanges. But why am I telling you to use it? I'm telling you because they are doing an airdrop at the moment, okay? And airdrops are going crazy in crypto right now, especially on Solana. So these guys have an allocation already to some people in the community, but they're saying if you still come and use us, there is a chance you will end up getting an airdrop. Now, as I said, everything is risky. Please be very cautious when you go and do this. Check out our airdrop guide. And what is your time worth at the end of the day? Okay, if you don't have any business doing nothing on Solana, then it's probably not worth it for you to go over there and just bridge, just to trade. Because at the end of the day, you're just gambling. So yeah, I'll leave that there. My big surprise was the comparison between CEX and DEX volumes and how incredibly tight it's gotten now, Nick. Yeah, it's pretty good, right? I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, it's was one of my things actually on my 2023 list that I did a write-up for members, was anticipating perhaps a shift towards DeFi. I like using, especially at the downfall of these centralized exchanges through 2022, which we did see, as you reported, greater percentage increase of DEXs versus centralized exchanges. But what maybe we'll talk about more about this, what I got wrong is I thought this would lend more to a rally for DeFi and more attention, which just didn't really happen for a majority of DeFi tokens out there.
Yeah, I guess DeFi is such a large a category in itself, because in DeFi, there are multiple different products, one of which is just an exchange, or like a market to AMM, for example, or automatic market maker. And some of these DeFi tokens lie in there, but they also do a whole range of other things, So yes, the narrative for DeFi didn't quite take off, but the DEX volumes did take off. So very important comparison over here that we're making. Now, Nick, let's move on a little bit. Let's look at the things that we got right this year. And when we say right, we mean what did you know and what did you have written down in your mind and now that's come true at the end of the year? Sometimes you get things right?
Yeah, so it's always good to look back when you get the actual things right.
That's right.
Show off a little bit of the research that you did do, which maybe at the time was more controversial. For example, I know I did a post back in May on why Solana remains one to watch. It was 5 reasons why you should pay attention to Solana and why the chain is not dead, and I'm expecting it to have another resurgence. So this was back in May. We saw a really strong rally to end the year for Solana, and a lot of the reasons that I pointed out proved out to be true. Whether it was a lot of the technical development going on, making legitimate partnerships in the space, and all the way to just slowly increasing core fundamental metrics such as not just TVL, but looking at how many apps are being deployed and how many developers are on the chain. So there's a lot to like, especially with the network uptime. I know we reported a lot on these changes that were happening essentially to make Solana more robust and strong, which proved true. And that was a core narrative, I think, of people not discounting Solana, that, the network downtime didn't really happen apart from one significant outage at the start of February. Outside of that, though, probably was L2s. That was one of the area that I've been looking at very closely. I was anticipating a lot of these to tokenize, and we saw another big one happen, which was Arbitrum and the ARB token airdrop, which was one of the biggest Ethereum airdrops this year. And we continue to see them grow adoption and, not only upgrading. So Optimism had a major upgrade, was called Bedrock, but then we also saw just major network launches from the likes of Base, from the likes of Polygon, ZK EVM, ZK Sync, Mantle, and Consensus's own L2 network, which is Linear. So a lot of L2 adoption and development going on in 2023, which was one thing that I was really strongly anticipating.
Yeah, man. Like you said, you got to appreciate the things that you get right, because sometimes, yes, you don't always get everything right. But when you do get it right, you have to, get that nice feeling. And I got that nice feeling. Yeah, that's right, Nick. I got that nice feeling for Solana. Yeah, you go.
Just to finish off this one, is that I remember looking back at a post I did back in 2021 where I was kind of fascinated with Ethereum L2s. And I look back on that post now, some of the content or like the projects I was expecting to tokenize didn't work out.
Yeah.
And it just really shows the difference, just how fast the space moves and gets developed. But that post was looking at all these Ethereum L2s at the start of 2021, a couple of years ago. And essentially the post was just saying that, are Ethereum L2s going to tokenize? And, will early adopters get, a lot of airdrop rewards? Which that one probably aged really well. Probably one of the posts that I did that I was really most proud of, and that really resonated and actually has played out along the lines, although maybe a few of the major winners weren't in that bracket just yet. So really cool to look back on and, get that feeling. I know you were, got that feeling at Solana.
Yeah, that's right. And as you said, yet for your layer twos, that means that not right now, but perhaps later in the future. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll definitely let the membership know about it. But yes, as I said, I did have that glowy feeling in my heart when I knew that using Solana every day was still good in itself, because I enjoyed being on that chain. And at the end of the day, I ended up getting a $30,000 airdrop from Jito. So that is paid just for all of the people giving us crap, making memes saying that, oh, it's bad, it's not good, it's not doing anything. Like, no. So that was a really glowy feeling there that I had for Solana. But I think we've talked about Solana too much here. We've chilled on it a little bit. I want to go off to a smaller kind of thing that I got right, which is just about clean portfolio management. And I want to show this little chart here that I made. This is what I use to chat to some of the people at Collective Shift. Okay, when they come on as a pro member, we discuss portfolio allocations, and we have one foundational article called Portfolio Size, a Portfolio for Beginners, Intermediate, and Advanced. This is kind of a derivative of that. So I like to share my portfolio management just slightly. I have two separate portfolios. One, it kind of really looks at being a beginner in crypto with the lowest risk, right? And this has served really, really well as the cold storage and just tucking it away. Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana. And that has been like my bedrock, okay? Now, some people come into crypto, they don't start over here. They start all the way either in the intermediate side over there, or even in the advanced side where it's got the high risk, high volatility. It's extremely complicated. You're getting this, you're getting that. You're connecting your wallet to everything. It gets really, really complicated. And I'm very, very glad that I got this right, that I actually managed to choose the right portfolio for me and the time that I had to actually invest into this. And some people don't understand this, Nick. People come in, they get the craziest stuff. Well, no, you don't have time to manage the craziest stuff. Perhaps you can have an intermediate portfolio, which has some of the top 10, top 20, maybe a few altcoins here and there, but you understand what the risk curve is and know where you actually sit, instead of just going crazy and just, putting all in on some weird meme coin on altcoin, right? Nick, I don't know. I know you probably don't want to share your portfolio there, but do you resonate with this? Like, do you feel you got your portfolio right at the end of the day, at the end of this year?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, because the main thing I do see as well, similar to you, is that I guess maybe a lot of people underestimate the risk in the market, and probably don't realize that a lot of these altcoins just go to zero.
That's right.
That's one thing we try and push a lot of education, just to letting people know, hey, if you are to do this, this is not to be considered financial advice, but just goodwill, which is, hey, maybe a really small slither of that into these super risky things. Because at the end of the day, if you look at past market cycles and past historical snapshots of the crypto market, 99% don't make it to another cycle, or don't make it to their previous all-time high. So this is something that I think is really important for people to understand, and one thing that I've definitely learned a lot over the journey.
Yeah, that's right. And even just looking at your altcoin against, for example, the ETH or Bitcoin chart, and at the end of the year, you look at it and you're like, oh, I would have been better off actually holding just Bitcoin or just holding Ethereum. So yes, it's not financial advice. We're two friends having a chat by the fireside here, but also have a look at your own portfolio and see if you're happy with the constituents. Okay, you just have a look and see if it's actually done what you hope to achieve at the end of this year. Okay. Now, we won't take too much longer here. Let's go to one thing, or maybe two things that we actually got wrong this year. We are human at the end of the day. We got some things right, but also we get some things wrong. So, Nick, what did you feel you got wrong this year, man?
One thing actually that I got wrong was, hindsight can be 20/20, but Metaplex was one of the biggest ones that really slipped by, I think, our grasp. Is that we were very early on Solana and understanding compressed NFTs and sharing this with a lot of our members, but we actually neglected to look at the fundamental token Metaplex, which is been one of the big winners in the Solana ecosystem. So this was one that was kind of funny, because we're actually very early at letting our members know all this positive stuff about Solana, but we just neglected to look into Metaplex, the token itself. So that was probably just one small one that we sort of overlooked. The other one, again, would be stablecoins. I thought they took longer to rebound. I was expecting a strong year for stablecoins, which happened on-chain, which was very positive. It's just that the total market cap just continually just started bleeding because of perhaps not understanding or underestimating the impact that the higher for longer rates would have. Essentially, they were just bleeding stablecoin market cap as crypto yields were less attractive to the US Treasury. That was probably the biggest one I got wrong. Also, DeFi. We spoke about DeFi at the start, but I was anticipating maybe the narrative to return, because they've been down-only tokens since DeFi summer. They've really had a horror couple years, and I was expecting it to perhaps perform a bit better, but didn't happen. So maybe we're expecting that to happen in 2024, but I'm kind of holding my breath in a way, just because DeFi is really, really up against it at the moment. There's a lot of not hate, but I think DeFi is going to be the next focal point via a lot of aggressive regulators.
Yeah, I think so. They're in the spotlight of the regulators. And Nick, like when it comes to DeFi tokens, I always also urge caution, because someone can go and farm this token just by providing liquidity for it. And this is not applicable to all of them, right? But people can just go and get this token just for providing liquidity. And at the end of the day, what do these DeFi tokens actually do for you? It's for you to vote in the platform. And if they don't accrue fees, then if you're not interested in the platform, there's actually no use in it. So yes, these DeFi tokens have had a really downturn this year. And I do hope that they do end up actually performing really well next year as the narrative comes back to them, Nick. So when it comes to kind of DeFi, it's actually very related to the one thing I got wrong, which I thought AI. I actually overestimated AI, artificial intelligence, in crypto this year. I got to be honest, I thought it would be very huge. I thought with the advent of ChatGPT and how popular it got, everyone's mind share was on AI and the changes it could do in crypto. I had my idea of, AI, automated AI bots that were able to trade themselves and have their own balances and talk to you and tell them what they're doing, and all of this lofty ideas of AI and crypto integration. And at the end of the day, it actually fizzled out. There's not much that actually happened when it comes to AI. So I know there is a little bit of stuff going on, like, for example, a Unibot on Telegram where you can chat to it and it is basically your wallet. You can tell it to go and, like, in a sentence, go and buy this and go and sell this and look for this. That is a small application, but it's not the killer app that I was actually hoping for. Maybe not this year, but I actually think maybe next year, as AI continues to improve and improve and improve, there will be a singularity point when something will actually, go crazy. Maybe it already exists. Maybe it's not in the public-facing light. Maybe a private company has it somewhere. But I'm hoping it'll come public. Nick, what do you think about my AI?
I was going to say that in terms of trading, that AI has been going on for trading for a long time. It's just probably people are only becoming familiar with this quote unquote buzzword that is AI. Which that's why I always work with Ben, our CEO, to create some YouTube videos. Or one of our YouTube videos we help create that will be going out is all about common mistakes you make. And number one was trying to become a trader when you're not, just because these sophisticated actors using advanced artificial intelligence, they're using advanced algorithms that create millions and millions and millions of data points that you have to think about yourself.
Tell them they're right.
If you're a sole person sitting in front of your computer and you don't have an edge, you're just going to get crushed, most likely, to these more sophisticated actors who have access to this technology. So maybe perhaps to your point with the AI trend, I've noticed a lot of these platforms that are launching, that are linking compute around. That's probably the biggest opportunity that I see next year, because we're going to see a few of them launch and probably compete with the ones that are existing in the market. But also, I'm really, like you, looking forward to seeing whether these AI agents will be having blockchain based bank accounts, because it's kind of the perfect method of payment for these artificial intelligent bots. So that's the one thing I'm really looking forward to next year.
Yeah, exactly. And when they're able to do their own transactions and be their own bank, that opens a whole bunch of doors. You can have your own Nick's personal AI that helps you during the day and then trades for you at night while you're asleep. That sort of stuff. That's what I'm looking for. But of course, it's not here yet. It'll take some time. Maybe it's here and we don't actually know of it yet, Nick. Yeah, so it's
a lot of people are cooking under the
that's right. There's a lot of smart people out there. But Nick, let's go and wrap it up with our last segment here. In 2023, Nick, let's talk about the things that we learned this year. Either we learned fresh or something that we had to relearn because the market punishes you when you make mistakes, Nick. So what did you think you learned this year, mate?
The number one thing I learned was that major banks are still looking, or major banks and financial institutions are still looking into crypto and paying attention to the space. Now, this was something that I was really concerned about heading into last year, whether a lot of the collapses, the fraud, and all of the nefarious activity that was happening in the space would have impact on banks' attitudes to crypto. Whether they were going to exit the market because of the fear of the uncertainty. But we actually saw the opposite, and we saw banks and financial institutions take another step in. We saw major banks continue to get licensed, offer tokenization services, and offer crypto custody, which I wasn't expecting at this aggressive level. We saw a lot of French and German banks really lead the charge on this front. And we saw financial institutions such as PayPal launch their stablecoin, off the back of a really mixed regulatory environment. I thought that was a huge deal. And things like Visa piloting settlement on Solana. So, major learning for me was that these firms were not scared away by the failures of 2022, and they continue to still adopt. So that was a big takeaway, because I'm going to learn that, it really gives me confidence to next year. If the environment continues its positive, whether we get clarity, that they should only continue, this entry, and it would have to take something really disastrous now for them to really cancel their crypto services.
Nick, I can count on my fingers and my toes how many times a week we would actually talk about institutions coming into crypto, and just every new week there's another giant person that's trialing something or doing something with crypto or doing this partnership, every time, man. So yeah, it is pretty good news and what we had to learn in crypto. So thanks a lot for sharing that. My friends, before we go, let me give you one thing that I learned in crypto this year. And I'm going to share with you this little screenshot I grabbed here. Now, when it comes to this, it's very hard to encapsulate it or articulate it into an idea. I had to relearn this, okay, which is not a good thing. I learned it already, right? But I had to relearn it again this year. And the whole idea is that, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Okay, I'll say it again. The market can stay irrational and crazy longer than you can keep your balance or keep your composure. Okay, and that's what's being explained in this little graph here, in this little bell curve, they call it. So right away on the bottom left-hand side corner, you have someone who just says, oh, Doge, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to make money. Okay, and then all of a sudden you have me at the top over here, where most people, the most rational people, me, Nick, Matt, Ben, we're all pretty rational at Collective Shift. We think, no, this coin is actually crap. Why are you touching this coin? It's literally a joke, okay? So you shouldn't be expecting to make money off a joke. That's where most people do fall. And as you can see in the bell curve, that's where 70% of people fall. And then what I had to learn is you have to move past this little percentage, this big percentage in the middle, and go to the right-hand side where you'll end up buying Doge or buying that crypto or buying that joke coin because you understand what narratives are and that other people will be buying this and you will be selling to them, and then you end up making a profit. So at the end of the day, you end up being in the market rather than not being in the market and not actually participating as a user in the marketplace. So for me, I just had to learn this again. And this is something I'll really have to take into crypto. Don't use logic to rationalize an irrational market, okay? It's crazy that we had to learn this again. But unfortunately, people make money from this. You know, it's a really powerful lesson I had to actually relearn this year.
Yeah, it's
so Nick,
there, Leon. I know Matt and I talked about the meme coin stuff last year, and I remember talking to him about like meme coins being like an investable class of cryptocurrencies, just because of this. If you look back at history, as I always see these meme coins just run, and it's probably not going to end anytime soon. Whether it's one on Solana, whether it's going to be a new one on Base, or a new one that comes up on a chain that will launch next year.
A new chain, yeah.
And these things do, and I heard a good analogy that equated it to like the lottery, whether these meme coins are just like on-chain lotteries. Lottery, people spend a lot of money not knowing the real odds. They lose their money anyway, so these just a new form of just gambling on these meme coins. So it's one that I probably wouldn't expect to quit anytime soon.
Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, people will still be people, and the market, it's still full of psychology, and people will be coming, people will be going. And even if it's not old people, it'll be new people that, haven't experienced it before. And you're still there, you and me, we're still there to take advantage of that, or other players are at the end of the day anyway. So that's it, Nick, my friends listening. We're going to leave it here tonight. We want to thank you very much for being Collective Shift members, for coming to the podcast and listening to us in our fireside chat. We hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to yourself, to your crypto portfolio, and to your family. So over at Collective Shift, it's been a pleasure serving you in 2023. We really, really look forward to serving you again in 24 in the next bull run. So make sure you come and find us and come and chat with us. That's it, my friends. We've shared our lessons. You share yours as well. We want to know what you've learned in crypto 2023. Leave it in the comments below. So Nick, I think we'll say goodbye to everyone. Happy New Year.
I look forward to seeing you guys next year.
Look forward to you guys next year. Ciao for now. Bye.